Hang on. It's weird because it basically is telling me it does not support. Okay, well if that's the case, then we have to come a bit closer. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, we've got a boat that's about to come past Jordan.
Alright, yeah.
Just hang on a sec.
Water scan.
Alright, how bad is the sound? That's what we've got to figure out since we've got no external mic.
It works now. How does it sound, guys? Can you hear us quite easily? Do we need to bring the phone a bit closer?
Yeah.
I don't think we've tried streaming to YouTube via the phone before. So.
No, we specifically picked the camp spot that we could get reception. But I'm just worried that.
How you going, Track Lives?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what's the audio like? Especially if I like turn around and talk like this. Is it near impossible to hear us, or is the background music too loud, perhaps?
Chris easy, Jordan is distant, but that was when you were standing directly behind it. So you might have need to bring it a bit closer.
Oh, okay. I have a feeling it's going to be.
Andrew just drove in, awesome. It's about a 5. And they can't hear the music at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So hang on.
Can you use the opposite camera?
I can, but I don't know if it's gonna be. We'll test it. Hang on. We'll test something, guys. How is the audio now? What about now? Can you guys hear us all right? I guess we're gonna figure out the best way to do this.
A little bit closer, they want it.
What's that?
Will says much better. Track Life said a little bit closer.
A little bit closer.
But again, it's too high. I think they wanted to just bring the phone a bit closer. Yeah. Yeah, just do that and then try and angle it down. Make sure you got the Addy in the background.
Oh, look, here we come again, guys. Round 2.
It's a different one.
Oh, no, it's not a jet ski, okay. But I would have thought that the mic, because the mic on this is there.
Oh,
so, how does that not make sense?
We haven't tried streaming to YouTube like this before, so this is a bit of a test. Just there we go. We picked the camp spot here on the Murray River that had reception just to try and test this out and see how it goes.
How about that?
Is everything in the background? See us, see the Addies and swag.
Kind of. I mean, we got quite a few limits to play with.
Yeah.
See, before with the mic being external, could have had the camera on a wide view.
Yeah. Because by the time they hear us, there is then a delay for them hearing us. Then there's a delay for me reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're doing Q&A.
Feel free to fire away any questions, and we will try and answer anything about anything.
Anything about anything. No drink, or you right with the water?
No, I'm right with the water. It was about 33 degrees here today. The sun was a killer. It was ridiculous.
It was quite a killer.
It was hot. It was muggy. Quite high UV. Yeah.
Just make up some questions, guys. Come on, help us out.
Even if you just want to sit, there's no campfire here at the moment. Maybe later, but
It's kind of warm. It's really warm.
just picture you guys being here with us, sitting around the virtual, non-existent campfire, and we're just gonna chat for a bit, answer any questions.
With the humongous delay.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Should be a better way to get the delay quick, easier.
I'm not sure.
Very annoying.
It is a bit annoying, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we're on the Murray River. I think it's like Barmer, isn't it?
Yeah, Barmer.
Barmer. Yeah. It's on the Victoria side. The other side you see behind us, if you can see that, is New South Wales.
As soon as you touch the water, you're in New South Wales. So everyone in the boats, they're boating in New South Wales, and us on the land, we're here in Victoria. Oh, God, you have to.
Still dead quiet.
That's it.
The sun comes and goes. God, the sun was really hot today, guys. It's almost killed me.
Yeah, we spent about 5 hours driving around, looking for different campsites, looking for something that was nice and close to the water, that didn't have a big drop off down to the water.
Never mind.
Hmm?
No, never mind.
Now is everyone else's Sunday. What did you guys get up to? What time did we leave? 6:30 this morning?
Probably more like 7, I think.
Yeah, we got up at 6:30. We left Melbourne, or Mornington Peninsula side of Melbourne. 23 and only mowed the lawn today, track life.
Fucking cool.
Nice and cool.
Easy job. Unless you got a big lot of land that you got to mow.
Not a bad way to spend your Sunday.
Yeah, wait, 23, and you're out west side of Victoria, aren't you? From memory. Actually, not that bad. I would expect Melbourne to be a lot warmer out there.
Yeah, well, 10-degree difference between here and there.
Do you reckon that's a snake hole?
Very well could be.
I only just looked at that and noticed it was just then.
Yeah, no, I can see something kind of shiny in the hole.
That's great, really.
Right on the left-hand side, as you look down.
Oh, it actually is.
Chris is worried now. He thinks there's a snake in the hole just there.
Have a look at this. It's like this random hole.
I think it might be a cobweb, but they have funnel webs this close to the water.
If you have a look, that little hole at the bottom of that, there's something shiny inside it. Oh god, my phone's getting really hot. I don't know if it likes this.
Right, have you got a case on it?
Yeah, I do. Probably just take it off. Rode motorbike yesterday? Yeah, nice. Yesterday was... Oh, it wasn't as warm as today, was it?
No, definitely not in
down that
Melbourne.
way. Yesterday we spent the day getting the Addy ready and just trying to help Will out with a few things, so it wasn't a busy day. Just tedious.
Tedious and 90 series wheel bearings.
Gotta go there.
The backflips that they can do is amazing.
Yeah, that was fun.
Mm.
Wheel bearing's not a fun thing to do, so get your mechanic to do it if you ever need to get them done. On any car anyway.
Some cars are easier than others, but 90 series Prados in particular, get someone else to do it.
What's for dinner tonight, guys? We're gonna have really quick and easy jet boil. I'm trying to remember. Beef stir fry in noodles. Takes like, what, 15 minutes? Excuse me, geez. Put together.
Yeah, so we've got some stir-fried beef. We've got 2 of those instant noodle cup, big bowl cup things. Use a jet boil to cook the meat. Boil some water in the other one, and then just kind of chuck it together. Easy campfire meal. Don't need to bring out any big cooking utensils or any burners or anything like that. It's all done on the jet boils.
some water. Chuck some water in there, do some stir fry up, chuck it in there, and away we go.
Well, there you go, Chris. It could be a funnel web spider, you know.
What's that in there?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I may just close my tailgate when I go to sleep.
He forgot his net that goes over the back of the wagon, over the back of the Audi. His little like camp setup that goes over the top that he usually has over the tailgate.
What's my head?
Although I did try to trick him and I told him that they've introduced crocodiles into the Murray and he didn't know if I was joking or not.
I couldn't tell. It was believable. It was definitely believable.
Hmm. Yeah, so Chris will be sleeping in the back of the Addy. He's got that all set up with mattress, heaps of blankets and pillows. I've got the I went and bought a King's Big Daddy Deluxe queen size swag, so I'll be using that for the very first time. So that's going to be quite good. It's going to be a lot better than that tiny little single swag I had that barely was wider than me and didn't even sit more than a couple inches off my face when it was covered up.
I don't have a picture. Did we take some pictures of it?
I took pictures of it.
With you in it? Because when you're actually in that swag, you can see how proportionally small it is compared to you.
Not while it was zipped up. I've got pictures of my selfies of me in it, but not while it's actually zipped up, I don't think. Nothing I can share on social media anyway.
I'm trying to understand what you mean by that.
So no CS tonight, I guess. No Spriggans.
G'day Spriggans, no CS tonight.
Sable will be streaming, or Wall will be streaming some Escape from Tarkov at 8 PM. Normal scheduled Pixels stream time on Twitch.
I was confused for a second, like Spriggans. Hey, wrong stream, and we're on Tube, not Twitch.
You watching your skid?
Yeah, right.
No,
I almost lost the adventure today off. I squeezed it through 2 trees, and then the ground kind of vanished from underneath the front right one, and the whole car kind of tipped over.
We're driving right along the edge of a bank that it's about a 10-meter drop off into the water, and the front wheel went over a bit of a hairy moment.
I just looked out and I'm like, oh, that's much worse than I thought. It was just, Jordan, get out of the car for a sec. That's alright. That got our heart going for a while, because we were actually looking for a campsite all late morning. And I think we arrived down here about, I think it was 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I think we were at the shopping centre at 10:30 or 10:40.
Yeah. And we spent probably the better part of 4 hours driving around looking at all these different camp spots by the Murray River. And we just had trouble finding something where you could kind of fish off and go to the bottom if you kind of needed to.
Now we went all the way, east, all the way west. Then we ended up going into New South Wales, up like northeast, and then crossing back over the border. And that's where we are here.
Interstate trips this year. So, Big Desert's probably the only big interstate trip that we've got. I mean, there was talks of Western Australia in the near future. We were supposed to go to Western Australia actually during COVID, but that got pushed back, and I think we might end up replacing it with a trip to Cape York or something up Queensland way. I got a couple of friends up Queensland we want to catch up with, and could be either Cape or Fraser or whatever they call Fraser now. I don't know what they're calling that now. They got a new name for it.
Do they?
Cal something.
First I've heard of that.
Yeah. I'm a bit scared about taking the adventure in salt water actually, because there's been a lot of Asian engineering on this thing, and there's a lot of exposed metal in places where I probably should have painted it. So if I end up deciding to go to Fraser, I'll probably have to strip it apart and go touch up some spots. Otherwise, after a few weeks of being there, I think it might start falling apart pretty quickly.
You'd hope not.
Plans for Simpson are pretty good. So, oh god, I wish I could actually show you from my phone. Yeah, so plans for Simpson are pretty good. We've had some change convoys set up and people who are coming, but that hasn't really affected my attendance of it. And everything's still kind of as planned, the same track. The WAA line, we're going to come up with WAA line. Oh no, the French then down to the WAA. I think that's the right order. So across the top, down the middle, and across the WAA all the way to Lone Gumtree, which is, I think it's west to east is the direction. And we're going to stay at Lone Gum for a little bit, and then head up to Birdsville, back up Rig Road, and the shortest way. I thought there was fishing or about going off again. The shortest way, well, the only way really, to Birdsville, and then over to Big Red. After that, we haven't really figured out what we're doing there yet. Plans to be assessed. I don't think we have the full amount of time we wanted, so we're just going to play it by ear. And it depends if we have any problems too. Like if the Adventurer kind of cooks itself, we'll come back from Birdsville a bit and come straight home. There was talk of Flinders Rangers, I think it is, in SA, Inaminka, stuff like that. But I don't know the pronunciation. I might be saying the names wrong, so if I am, disregard. If I roll through your way, let you know there is a track here called 5 Rocks, but I'm not sure how good it is. 5 Rocks, I'm just trying to imagine why you would name a track that.
Got 5 rocks on it.
Yeah, but how big are these rocks?
Well, I didn't name it 5 Boulder.
Well, one time someone said, "Oh, you'll never get your Adventure up Staircase." It's a track up near Burgoyne's track, out on the east side of Burgoyne's, and God, we did it. And I tell you what, hell of fun. Not a problem. Yeah, not really a problem. It's a lot more jittery in an Adventurer than it would be a 4-drive in terms of the power delivery from the vehicle to the ground. But as a passenger, it's much more comfortable, and I don't know how to actually explain that any other way. I would say the 4-drive is more controlled, but it's just a lot more of left and right and up and down. Where in Adventurer, it's a little less controlled, but it's still much more smoother inside as passengers and drivers. So,
well, you're lower to the ground, so
yeah,
you're not swaying around, being lower center of gravity. Not getting as much of that body roll. I thought I'd chuck some bait on the fishing rod. Just we might go off and might catch a fish on stream. Who knows? Things don't usually go to plan that way, but
as soon as we finish stream, he'll catch something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, not much else. I'm up here tomorrow. I just got a bit of a small job I've got to do tomorrow for work, so I thought I'd come up here tonight. Just have a look around. I haven't really travelled this part of Victoria that much, so the most in Victoria I've travelled to is a lot of Victoria High Country, and then you come up north, east of Victoria, and up until kind of, I don't know if you guys know Tokenwall, or like Cobram, that type of area, and then I've only come straight down. I haven't really done any of that little corner in the northeast side of Victoria, so that's kind of northwest side of Victoria. That's kind of where we're at now, in the middle point. I'm learning it's not really my type of off-road. It's mostly flat.
Mostly flat, not really. You'd have a bit of fun in the wet, sliding around in the ruts, but there's no real hills or basically main roads everywhere.
Yeah, dirt roads at best.
If you had a boat and you had a jet ski or something like that, it'd be a lot different.
Yeah. Could one day buy a jet ski.
I know a lot of people swim in the Murray, but
Catch you later, Spriggan. Thanks for dropping by, mate.
Yeah, Sprigs. I think personally I'd like swim somewhere like nice clear water, like McAllister River.
Yeah. McAllister River, like something like that.
Something up near Jameson, like other things near Jameson.
Yeah. How's the actual video quality? Actually, is what I wanted to ask. Is it pretty good? The 4G here is like I got 2 bars, but I was trying to like have a video call with my kids earlier on, and it was kind of rubbish.
Yeah, I got 2 bars of 4G on mine. Well, hopefully you'll be able to sleep in your new swag, Mum. Not too long. Especially if we can figure out the old sleep machine battery thing out.
Yeah, I've got a dual battery thing coming, Track Life. I've got a 20, I think it's a 26 amp hour lithium battery that I'll be able to fit into the back of the Adventurer in a little compartment without having to do any body modifications. So that'll be good, and then I'll pretty much have 240 and everything in the back for when I'm overnight. I worked out, what is it, lithium is, gives me about, well, exactly that. You get 20 at 1 amp an hour, which, like a fridge, give you an idea, like a small fridge like that one there, they'll use about 1 amp hour per hour. So a 26 amp hour battery will give you kind of like 24 hours. And I've already got and that's a lithium one. I've got a 100 amp hour wet cell battery. So plenty for like a fridge, light inverter use. Nothing extreme, but enough for like kind of traveling and having your minimums. I don't think I can get a bigger battery in the back unless I took out the subwoofer.
Yeah, don't know if we want to do that.
It's not an essential, but I find it's just good to have nice sound. I'm a big person with like just enjoying nice sound and music to listen to. Not loud, just good sounding music. One day.
Although all we can hear is the bloody glass.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can hear them as well.
Very flat after Bendigo, yeah. That video's good, okay. Right. Yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure about live streaming from camp because there's not really much to do. I mean, I could do a walk around in the car if someone wanted to learn anything about it, but I mean, I don't do very many mods to it, so if you know the channel, you probably know the car pretty well.
We don't really have much of an actual camp set up here.
Yeah, there's no, like, we haven't got a fire going tonight, probably, 'cause it's just too warm.
It's gonna be 20 degrees or 19 degrees at midnight still, so it's not gonna be overly cold or anything like that.
He's got his flag up behind me, Jordan's new flag. Oh, I did, I hope I don't actually ruin the video by moving this. I did actually, I think it was you, Ian, Track Life, that talked to me about trying to get the Max Tracks mounted. I actually did end up getting the Max Tracks mounted. So I ended up putting the pins in, and they've actually set up there pretty well. I just found the downside to what I've done, and that is that I have to be on both sides under the pins, which seems non-conventional. So.
And less room for firewood.
And less room for firewood. But look, an idea I have is to chuck a little toolbox under there, and then to chuck all my tools from in the car up there, maybe, or something. And I'm pretty sure you guys have seen my bed set up in there. So it's pretty basic, pretty flat.
Heard a slight rattle of the bells, so I thought I'd just see if something was going to take it.
A slight rattle of the bells.
Yeah. Sampling was... I've got some cheese on there. I've heard that the Murray cod like the fattened cheese, so I thought I'd grab some cheese, you know, from Coles or Woolies or whatever we went to, and sort of chuck it on one of the heavier rods and see if we can get a big Murray cod. Besides the birds, it's quite, you know, quite relaxing, quite nice. The odd boat going past and someone water skiing in the background.
You have all these things though. Check this out. We got a photo before and I put it on Insta, but for those who haven't seen it yet, look at a lot of these trees, the roots are just kind of sitting bare underneath. And there's quite a lot of trees that run along the side and literally they're hanging off the side of the land with just roots dangling from the bottom. I don't know if you can see that one in the distance there. We had a photo, that's the one we took a photo at before. But,
Don't know if you can zoom in on there or not.
nah, I don't know if I can either. I really wish the external mic did work on this, it'd be great.
I wonder why it doesn't.
I don't know.
Unless you have to set it up in the settings. Are you streaming directly from YouTube?
Yes. Yeah, I did think about mounting him on the side of the rack, but I'd have to buy another pin set, and I would technically have to make a mount on an angle. It did cross my mind after I set them up, but we'll just have to see how we go.
Have you thought?
On the side's better. I get the room in the middle.
Have you thought about getting longer roof rack?
I did, but I want to on the very back of the wagon's top. I want to get a solar panel up there.
That's right.
So I've got passive charging.
When you've got the solar panel blanket, is it at the front?
Yeah, it's like a blanket.
How much charge would you say you get out of that in an hour?
Oh, it depends on the sun, really. I mean, it's a 200 watt, but as everyone knows, you don't really get 200 watts from.
Oh, a lot of people wouldn't know, I suppose, how much that would charge a battery. I haven't worked with solar much myself.
Well, the best way to think about it is you generally, a 200 watt blanket on a proper controller will give you what they call, I think it's about 15 amps of charging at 12 volts. So if the fridge uses 1 amp hour on average, and you were to get an hour at 15 amps, then you will need a good solid 200 watts of proper sun for an hour to give you 10 hours of 1 amp hour power. I think there's also a diminishing return, like an efficiency loss to 10% or something. But yeah, I'm not crazy into understanding all that. I just know the basics. So, but anyway, at the end of the day, you don't get your perfect 200 watts or your 15 amps anyway. So it all depends on what controllers you use. It's best just to have some type of meter that kind of measures how much you're putting in, and some type of battery controller that tells you. And when you got sun that moves, that's the other problem too. That's why if you just get a small panel on the back of the car that kind of trickle charges everything, it's good enough to provide maintenance for your batteries. I actually hate having to maintain batteries. It's very annoying. It's not set and forget, because even if you set everything up and then you leave it to run, you don't go away for 6 months or something, you park your car up, you've lost, 20% of your battery's life anyway. After you don't go out for a few years, you end up having to change your batteries all over again, so it's kind of like a pointless cycle to me. I found the portable power banks are the best. Take them to the beach, go for a picnic or go out. A couple of friends, bring some drinks out to a friend's place, hook up the fridge, to a portable bank out the back if there's no power out there.
You get some decent ones too. I think I was looking at one, it was about $900, but it was 265 amp hours, something like that. It was a 12 volt, 240 volt battery pack. It was
Okay.
slightly longer than a normal car battery, quite heavy, but it's portable.
Yeah.
And it was 265 amp hours, which is quite a lot.
Depends what you run.
But,
depends if it's lithium. Depends if it's
I think it was lithium.
Well, that's a lot of power then.
But it's quite large, quite heavy.
How much did it take? 265.
I think so.
Well, just even if it's 250 amp hours, 250 amp hour lithium battery, that would last you. Yeah, that doesn't make sense though. But in theory, 250 amp hour battery would give you 250, just say 230 hours to run that fridge. Which is what? How many days is that? That doesn't seem right to me.
Might be like 160. It was quite high though. I was quite shocked because they retail at about
$2,000 battery.
So they retail at about 1,800, but they were on special a couple of weeks ago for about 900.
All money.
And then another $500-600 for the solar panels on special.
And then what solar panels you buy is a whole other thing again. So.
Obviously they come with ones that they manufacture to go with it.
Yeah.
Whether they're any good or not, that's another thing. They might sound good on paper on their website, and whether they're any good in real life, it's another
Look,
thing.
I don't know. All I know is I've even had a 300 watt panels before, and even with what they call the MPPT controller, which is the best type of solar type controller you can have to get the most out of your solar power, I never have ever been able to get 300 watts out of it. I always end up with like 240 watts. And I clean them, put them directly in front of the sun. No.
Is that right? It's on your chair, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Luckily, there's not as many ants as there were in some of the other spots we looked at. Some of the other spots had massive ant nests. Like we drove over one that just the ground was black. You're like, yeah, no, this isn't the spot. This place.
Yeah, drop a bit of coke in them. So I've got a funnel of spider camping with us instead.
Yeah, he's friends with a Red Valley black snake.
That's great.
They're both conspiring against us. It's nice. We're far enough away from the road that we can't hear any of the traffic or cars. We're that far from the city that we should hopefully have a nice starry sky tonight.
So we got 5 years left in chat. Is there anything else you guys want to ask or? The delay's huge. Like,
The delay is quite large.
it's huge.
I reckon.
So like we were talking about the max track before. By the time we'd gone over there and talked about fishing, Track Life actually talked about track. Like I don't understand.
I feel like if you're watching the stream on a mobile, you're going to have even more delay compared to watching it on your browser and your computer. You have much less delay. So if you do have a computer, that you can just go jump on YouTube, you're going to be able to watch live streams with a lot less delay than you will us using a mobile phone, then you using a mobile phone, and then it just becomes quite a large delay. But and if you don't want to ask questions, if you want to tell us about what you guys have been up to, what trips you guys have done, where you guys have been,
All going.
or where you want to go, what trips are you planning? That'd be really cool to hear from as well.
Interesting. Flies are still very annoying. I thought when the sun would kind of vanish, the flies would go away, but no, they're just.
Yeah, there's still some ants that are annoying, but there's not heaps. But flies are definitely a pain. Probably bells powerful.
We're down to 4, so it looks like we're losing interesting topics for you guys.
Could be the delay. Everyone just, it's hard to talk when
It is, but you think YouTube has made this so you can have a conversation with people. Looking forward to Dargo, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a good trip. Me and Jordan are going to go run the tracks just to test them probably a month before the trip. We'll make a nice little route. Should be pretty good. If you haven't been out there before, that little trip from Wacola all the way to Dargo through the 4 drive tracks, stuff out there is just amazing. There's some points you get to where you just have to pull over and take photos, and then you look at the photos later and you're like, it looks nothing like when you're actually there. So
it never does it justice. The drone's probably the closest thing that you get to doing it some form of justice. It's funny because a little spider just came out of that hole.
serious?
Yep, you see it moving to the left.
Oh God,
It's going towards the bag.
great. It's a fast running spider too, that one.
Going straight towards the fridge. We're joking about it being a spider hole, and a spider actually came out of it. That's hilarious.
Now it's coming towards me. Why? Oh gee, it's actually coming towards me.
Chris isn't a big fan of spiders.
Oh, and this thing is fast. Also not good.
Oh, it's getting closer.
G'day, Peter. Where is it? It's right there, isn't it?
Mhm.
I think we should kill it.
Yeah.
I lost it.
There's 3 of them.
Another one?
There's 3 of them. There's one there,
Dude,
one there, and
Dude,
there's
there's
one.
another one that just come out.
Yeah, 3 spiders just come out of that one log.
Dude, there's a bloody spider's nest in there.
There is. You should, we should block that hole.
Dude, I'm not actually serious. There has to be a spider's nest in there. I'm gonna move my bag now.
He's feeling uncomfortable about that.
Very.
I really enjoyed the high country trip. Must go back before it snows. Track life.
Before it snows?
I reckon it'd be beautiful in the snow.
Alright, so that's one thing I've got 0 experience with, is snow and off-roading. So I will go into the snow, but I'm gonna have to be guided by someone who's got some experience. That's gonna be a An interesting one, that.
Apparently, if you stick to the actual just roads, you know, you'll slip and slide a little bit, but it's not too bad. The tracks themselves will be interesting in the snow.
I tried.
Proud.
Yeah. The kids want to go. Kids want to go to the snow too. Well, actually, when we got back from Simpson, we're actually thinking about going to the snow a couple of weeks after, but I don't see it happening.
Snow's not cheap if you want to stay there. You can't exactly
Well, the first time I go, I would probably stay at
a cabin.
cabin.
I mean, you can go to like Bawabor for a day trip, leave early in the morning, go for the day, come back. You know, leave before dark.
Yeah, well, I did that trip just to Craig's Hut up here, and it took. That was a whole day. I did go until 9 o'clock.
Hmm.
So I don't know how you'd have any time to do anything up there.
Bawabor's closer than Craig's Hut, though, isn't it?
But I guess so, but not by much, an hour at best.
Yeah, now there, now back, still 2 hours. That's the time.
That's what we should do. We should try and go up We should go up the same Mount Terrible track in the snow. Because at least when we know the track.
Sure.
That could be interesting.
Especially when you want to stop and you're just sliding down in the snow.
Interesting. Might take the Fortuner for the first run of that.
Nah, just send it. Take the Addy, just send it. Don't even take a recovery vehicle. Just
Oh my god.
go harder, go.
I'm just imagining when you're at the top what it would look like.
That'd be beautiful.
You see all the mountaintops from there. Imagine it during winter. It'd be crazy. And I've seen people with photos up there, but
I've seen lots of top.
I've never really been a fan of snow off-roading. I don't know why.
I've never done off-roading. I've driven on icy roads and I used to go to the snow.
I've done that.
Used to go to the snow a fair bit as a kid. But
I've done that.
grandparents would take us and, you know, we'd go, spend a week at Mount Hotham, skiing and stuff like that. Done that a fair few times.
It's starting to get a bit dark anyway. Is it? Or is it just my sunny?
It's getting darker. The sun's finally kind of lost its bite and gone down. Hopefully you're able to relax now that you're not at work, Andrew.
Does he always work Sundays?
It seems to be a majority of Sundays.
Yeah, right.
I know he did 3 in a row, didn't do the other Sunday, and he's back to this Sunday. So he seems to do a majority of Sundays. And,
Yeah.
12-hour days on a Sunday would suck. Especially when you got people rubbing it in that you're out off-road, out bush, going, oh, look at this view, or look at the water, isn't this nice? And
I wanted to go for a swim in the water. I'm just iffy about it.
it's just not clear. The Murray is just it's just a muddy waterway. So for the amount of big houseboats and all that sort of stuff that go through it, it's not clear. You can't see the bottom, and it's just not as inviting as a nice river where you can see the bottom of the water clearly, and it just looks really nice.
Yeah, I was looking at the map planning for Dargo, and I don't know where the start point's going to be, because you got to think we got to move like a whole lot of people from one point all the way through VHC all the way to Dargo, and kind of get to Dargo at a reasonable hour. And the worst part is, I decided to do it on a long weekend, which means
It'll be busy.
And if we also want to have, because it would when I did it last time, I wanted to have a counter meal at Dargo and just eat there and have a bit. Didn't want to go cooking myself. I didn't want to do anything like that. I have a funny feeling many others are going to be like that too. So trying to build a reservation, like a reservation list for the right amount of people is going to be hard to figure out. Because you have to book for a table to eat at dinner time at Dargo Pub if you're going at a time, peak time like that.
You have no luck with that, bro.
Great. So that's something I've been thinking about as well, and how we're going to combat that. Something I think about as we get closer to the date. Pretty much, you guys won't hear any real updates for the Dargo trip until
About a month before.
yeah, probably like a month before for an actual routing a route, and then maybe 2 months before for how we're going to do food and stuff like that, because yeah, I can't. I'm not thinking about anything like that until I'm back from Simpson, which will be in July, and then I'll probably have a big break. And assuming the adventure makes it back from the Simpson, I'll probably have to pack it up, and then yeah, we'll start planning for the next community trip, and my end of year trip, which I don't know where that is yet.
So many trips, so many plans.
And of course, if the adventure casts it, well then we'll have to have another break. But the only real thing that can happen to that now is the chassis, the snapping somehow, which is possible, or the engine needing a rebuild, which I've already said to everyone, I'll do one rebuild. So,
You wouldn't just swap it with another one. You'd
Nah.
just rebuild it yourself.
so I call that, I say don't buy someone else's problem.
That's true.
If you're willing, if you're gonna have it for a while longer after that, just rebuild it. Then you know for certainty you know what you have.
I haven't looked at the price, what the pricing difference would be between getting a second-hand engine that's got low Ks, for example, and rebuilding it and knowing everything is new.
Well, the other thing is too that I have to think about is we have a new vehicle coming to channel, probably that will come on the Dargo trip. So that's Wall's replacement vehicle for the White Adventurer. So that'll be exciting. So I don't know how I'm gonna make Vic Roach be happy about that vehicle. Still figuring that bit out. Should be good though. Should be good. It's one extreme to another, really.
Putting it mildly.
Yeah.
Vic roads really are the fun police. They don't like having fun toys.
Yeah. Dude, I always thought New South Wales was more strict than Vic, but apparently not when you're out there, like near Dargo. Apparently the cops are not friendly. So, planning to go to both Cairns in October. Cairns? Queensland. You know Queensland?
Yeah, it's about 4 hours north of Townsville. So, far north Queensland.
You've been there before?
I lived in Townsville for 5.5 years, but I've been about 3/4 of the way to Cairns, swimming under waterfalls and stuff like that, but I've never been to Cairns itself. I've heard it's beautiful, but I was already in Townsville, and Townsville was quite nice. And you drive a couple of hours towards Cairns, and you've got Crystal Creek and big waterfalls and swimming holes that are 5 meters deep, and you can see the water clear as day. You can see the bottom 5 meters down. Beautiful. Although Cairns is just humid, very hot, very humid. Like would be in the shade right now, just sweating.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
It's not too bad for a short trip.
It's actually really nice right now. Like the temperature now, really nice. Still daylight, a little bit of sun over the top.
A slight bit of breeze.
Would be nice, nicer.
Yeah, it's like a very slight, and there's pretty much no breeze at all. Like nothing's moving. I'm pretty sure I lost my bait before.
Oh, is that when the bells went?
Yeah.
Alright, well, we might wrap this up. Thanks for dropping in, anyone, whoever's still in the chat.
We'll just wait a minute and see if there's any other
Yeah, if you have any questions,
any
roll them
comments.
in, last minute questions. Oh my god, there's ants on my fridge.
Ants?
Ants. Look at them.
What's a fly?
No, the other one.
I think ants there. 5 ants here. They're trying to get into this one. I don't know if you've got anything.
No, they're being washed.
Got any water in there still?
There's water in there.
Oh, they could be up in the water.
Oh, we could just turn it on and
It's a bit of protein, it's fun.
cook her up. Yeah, they're fast, aren't they?
Not fast,
Yeah, so
not fast enough.
we'll get out of here in a second. Port Douglas to Cooktown is a great trip. Don't even know what's in between that area. I haven't really even thought about exploring anywhere outside of kind of mid-central New South Wales. I mean, we're on the border now of New South Wales and Vic, but
Well,
even if I had time, I don't even know where I would go from here into New South Wales if I was wanting to look for something to do. So,
well, technically, my fishing rod is sitting in Victoria, whether my fishing line is sitting in New South Wales.
Peter, this adventurer is going to have a 26 amp hour lithium second battery. It's going to go in. You would know the adventures pretty well, so the driver's side compartment. So you got that little small compartment that's about that wide. Just opens up at the back. It's going to sit in there pretty snug with just a 10 amp DC to DC charger. Just enough to run like my fridge without running the fridge off the main battery. Yeah, and that's its real purpose. It'll be big enough for Simpson since we're moving every day, and for the one day that we actually stay stationary, that 26 amp hour lithium battery will run my fridge for about 24 hours by some tested calculations. So I don't really run anything else. I use Ryobi batteries for everything else, so like my fan, my lights, and I have an inverter that I plug in when we're moving during the day just to charge all those. There's nothing really else I need a battery for after we stop. And we've also got the solar blanket as well we can just chuck out too. I might just work out a way to chuck it over the top, straight onto the lithium battery if we need to charge it. So, but yeah, that's my dual battery setup for the adventure. And I did think about getting a bigger setup, but I don't think I'll never need the capacity. I don't really stay put in one spot for more than a day. And if I do, it's for other reasons, and I'm probably not even going to be with the adventure. So, yeah, I'll catch you later, Andrew. We'll have a good night. You'll watch this on catch up. Yeah, no, all good. We just want to jump on before probably dinner time for most, but just want to jump on before people had dinner and stuff like that. Because once the daylight's gone, I know video footage becomes pretty average. We've got a good camera. And just see what it's like, kind of, I don't know, live stream, so I can think about ways that maybe we can do more of them. They require a bit of admin to set up. I mean, today we've just learned you can't use an external mic. I can use it when I'm doing videos, but I can't use it on YouTube Live for some reason. So that's annoying. Because my next plan was I can get clip-ons. But if you can't use external mic, then there's no point.
Then I'm sure your phone battery will be going pretty close to dead by now.
Didn't even think about that. Phone battery. Imagine if it just went flat. Oh no, we're still good. And the battery is at something 50 minutes live. It's not even Aussie NBN. It's phone for 4G internet, which I'm actually surprised it lasted this long.
How much battery you got left?
Oh no, I didn't say.
No.
I can't see, but we're still open, so.
That's a bonus. I figured you knew the phone, so you knew how long
Mr. Magnet. Oh, good to see you, mate. I've seen your comment in some of our videos. Yeah, definitely prefers us to take the adventure out. I know that much.
Most people do.
Look, I bought the Fortuna because I wanted to involve the wife in the trips a bit more, but rather than her as a passenger, her as a driver. Because I think as a driver, you take a lot more in when you go out. And look, I need a really reliable vehicle where I can go one morning and just wake up in the morning and go, I've got an idea, I'm going to go test this in an actual four-wheel drive and go see what it's like. And then I can rate the track and go, all right, this track is completely doable by adventure easily. It's possible but sketchy. It's impossible, but I want to try it anyway. Or it's just insanely impossible. Just don't even bother.
Which you'd probably still try.
Nah, maybe if I brought a few people over, we did try it that way. But it's a good vehicle for me to kind of go on my own too, because it's reliable and I can trust it.
It's got all the technology.
Yeah. The other reason too also is everything I buy for the Adventurer, okay, I buy the cheap Chinese alternative, and then when I buy it for the Fortuna, I buy the premium thing. It's like the flagpole for Simpson Desert. I bought the $35 Kings one for the Adventurer, but I bought the $120. I don't even know what brand, but it was just more expensive and had good reviews. So I went with that one for the Fortuna. So the good thing about having both vehicles is you guys get to see how the cheap stuff goes. I mean, the DC to DC charger I got for this thing is called a I don't know, it's some no-name white box with no labeling. It's a 10 amp DC to DC, and I got it for this because I just thought, well, it's a cheap little small thing, $110. See how we go. Burns down the Adventure, we have to buy another one. But for the Fortuna, like I went and probably got a Red Arc, BCDC 45. It's got what is it, 100 amp hour lithium battery in it. The Fortuna gets all the premium stuff, and the Adventure gets all the cheap stuff. And I do that on purpose. So when someone says, I don't have a lot of money and I want to do things, and I want to do it on a budget, oh, sound is working. Okay, sound is working. Yeah. What I want to do on a budget is that I can then show, oh, well, I've bought all this stuff for the Adventurer, and it still works. It still goes. The flagpole didn't snap and smash my windscreen, as some people said the King's one does. The snorkel on the Adventurer is a $95 do-it-yourself at home. Put a couple of holes in the side of your car and stick stuff together. What else?
Plus, you did the work, so.
Yeah, debatable. I bought this really cheap XTM light kit that I put inside the Adventurer. My front light bar is a cheapie, super cheap, the cheapest you can get. 2-star rating light bar. Hey, it's still going, and that thing's been underwater many times as well. It just kind of show that
You don't need to spend a lot of money.
you don't need to spend a lot of money. I think premium has its pluses.
You get what you pay for, but
You do, but
you don't always need the expensive stuff.
I just want to see where that meets.
Yeah.
You know, how far you can go. I've had to not really buy anything else with Adventure other than Adventure parts. And that's either from me smashing it, breaking it because of misuse. And surprisingly, none of that's mechanical yet, which is amazing.
The amount of years that you've been doing it, that is amazing. It does get maintained and serviced quite rigorously and
Oh,
regularly.
air compressors come to mind, I know. Actually, you know what? I haven't got a premium air compressor yet. We've had the King's one. We've bought 3 so far, and they all seem to last. I wouldn't. It's not a good thing to say, oh, they last us a year, because for someone, a year is like 5 uses. For us, that's 30 uses is what we'd use it in a year. So time frame doesn't really make sense. It's more about actual compressor running hours. But I think the King's one have their weird issues, and it's not the actual pump itself; it's the cutoff. We have a lot of problems with the cutoff just not working. So I want to get a good one to stick in the Fortuna. Probably, they say a ARB one's good, but I'll do some more research and buy one. No one's given me any advice on a good one, or any pointing me in the right direction. So I'm kind of guessing.
If anyone knows of a really good brand that they recommend, let us know.
Budget off-roading is the only way to go since fuel prices gone crazy. Yeah, well, fuel prices.
That's a interesting topic right now.
Don't even know how to go there. My $25 Thumper clone air compressor is still working 5 years on. Yeah, so 5 years on. And let me guess, the $25. What is that, right? 25 or 250? But they're not 250 for clone, so it must be 25.
You've got your money's worth for $25.
Yeah, Jesus. Where do I buy this clone from? Hey, Jason, what's going on, mate?
Especially if the shut off.
Oh, dude, we had so many problems finding a spot, like you couldn't believe. The Murray River has dropped height so much that a lot of the embankments are just drops. Some of it's caved in. A lot of the stuff down near Echuca is
15, 20 metre drops.
caravanners and
you need almost a rope and like a paracord you lay down just to try and get to the water's edge.
yeah, it wasn't. We ended up landing in Burma.
Yeah.
Burma, is it?
Yeah.
Burma National Park or something. Yeah.
Mum, Lisa, she kept correcting me because I kept saying Burma.
I think I started that by accident.
Yeah, no, it's Burma.
Burma, yeah. I'm very familiar from. So if we go all the way to Tokemwal, I'm very familiar from there all the way to the east coast. But anything from no east.
Yeah, but anything west, you don't know.
Anything west, yeah, I don't know. So I'll probably come out here a little bit more every now and again, or maybe never again, because I've actually found nothing that's actually enticing to me.
Oh, this is nice, and because we're catching more fish.
It's all right. Like I don't know, it's more of a family type place to come, or if I was on my way up north.
You stop for the night
Yeah.
on your way up north. Yeah, it wouldn't be too bad with the kids. I mean, there was drop toilets at one of the other camp spots. Will's Beach.
Will's Beach. Yeah, what Will's Beach? I don't know what you. How do you even call that a beach though? No, there's no beach. It's dirt and drop off.
I know there's one spot where there was a car park where we didn't actually walk down to sea, but you couldn't actually camp near the beach. You had to walk from the camp spot to the beach, and we wanted to be next to the water, not have to walk to it.
Mm. Yeah. I think YouTube's doing that thing to us again where everyone just got the notifications now because it's really interesting. Everyone just kind of doing it now.
I'm really interested to know your battery life.
Yeah, I bet it's gonna go offline.
So if we do randomly just disappear, it's probably because the phone battery's dead and gone.
How do we not? Oh God, there's actually about 30% left.
We've been live for over an hour, so
Yeah, close to.
you must have had a fairly high charge.
Reasonably. What's the latest comment? I saw one come up before I walked off.
If they don't go in your mouth, put it in the long drop. What?
Are we still on YouTube or we switched?
That was from Mr. Magnet.
Yeah, what am I not putting in my mouth?
If you don't.
This is still YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Just checking.
Don't know what you'd expected it to be if it wasn't YouTube.
Yeah.
The handy thing about those power banks is you can do stuff like this and then just have it charging while you go and hope that it outcharges the battery use.
These are pretty good. These are 3 amp chargers, so very acceptable. Very acceptable. I do plan on going. I'm just, as soon as you guys drop off and there's nothing else to talk about, we're just going to shoot off. I'm not hungry at the second, unless you're hungry. I can cook up food.
We had the Burma burger from the Burma Roadhouse, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which is basically a tiny little petrol station with one of those shops that do a bit of everything. They do fish and chips, pizza, burgers, kebabs. There's a bit of everything. Plus, you can get all your milk and fishing rods and bait and all sorts of stuff. Should have got worms.
We only just talked about it too.
No. Should have, but we didn't. But yeah. So we had that just before we got to this camp spot. So not starving. I'm getting a bit peckish. More thirsty than anything, but
Oh, really?
yeah. I'll grab a Jim man. There's all that stuff on top of the fridge. There's effort moving it.
But let Mr. Miyagi.
You get those tiny little arms.
Oh God, maybe not.
If we were paying $2.50 in town, how
Damn
much
it.
was it at the Roadhouse?
Of all cans that I could pull out, it had to be the one that's not.
I think the price of fuel was actually cheaper at the Roadhouse. I think it was.
Diesel was $2.20, I think.
Yeah, diesel was $2.20 at the Roadhouse. I think it was $2.07 for 91. I was actually surprised. It was the same with where do we stop?
The town before. Yeah.
It's on our Instagram stories. I put it up on my story, and I think Chris shared it on the All Terrain Action story on his Instagram as well.
A big shout out to Territory Off-Road as well. Free drink holder from Keith. But yeah, no, the town before Tricky, yeah?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
starts with R or something.
Don't really know the area, so.
But yeah, that was like $2.07 for 91 and $2.19 or $2.23 for diesel. It wasn't actually horrible. It was the further you got away from Melbourne, the cheaper it got, which I was actually surprised about, considering some places.
We're lucky. We have like a fuel card, a fleet card, and we actually get, if we pull in a Shell, we get 15 cents off a litre. So I try and look for Shells generally, and their prices are actually very much in line with everyone else's in the area. So at the moment I'm paying average in Melbourne about $2.05 for diesel per litre. currently, which is pretty good. But it's bizarre because, like, diesel's always been cheaper than petrol. Now they've kind of swapped spots, haven't they?
And diesel is less refined than petrol is. More work goes into making petrol, I'm pretty sure, than diesel. So
Yeah, well, look, I got the fleet card because I know I'm going to be spending about $7 grand in fuel for Simpson Desert. I've got to offload all the costs at some point somehow. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be one hell of a trip. Everyone just thinks it's just a desert. Like, there's no big deal.
many planning that goes into
The
it.
planning, like it's the planning and
Was it 50 litres of water per person?
yeah, 50 litres of water, or that's minimum. So then there's fuel, and there's a lot of things that work against us in the adventure that makes things difficult. Carrying capacity, how much we're going to be loaded with at the start, and
Vehicle GVM compared to some of the bigger
Oh.
four-wheel drives.
it's just like. But we've got it. We've worked it all out, and it's going to work out. So whether I ever do it again after this, I don't know. It will depend on my experience. Greatly. I think it's definitely definitely a big challenge to take the kids as well. But I want to do it with my kids, so that's going to be just one of those things I'll do, probably once only. Maybe I'll do it again in a four-wheel drive, but I just don't have as much fun in the four-wheel drive. Every time I do a track in the Fortuner, and then I go do it in adventure, I'm like, it's so much more boring.
Adventure just makes things fun. It's more challenging. It feels different. It drives different. You don't, some things you can crawl through at a four-wheel drive. You've got to take with a bit more speed and actually drive the car through it a bit, a bit more.
Oh, look, I just like everyone's look.
Oh.
Just like...
Even driving on the highway on the way here, we had four drives passing us, and then they slow down and they get their phones out, and you can see that they're recording us on their Snapchats. And
yeah,
we drive past, and there's people like looking, going, "Why the hell does that Commodore have Max Tracks on top?"
When I travel on the highway, I max out my air height in the back, so I'm traveling at like the highest I can travel on highway, and it's probably doing something to my CV slowly, but it's purely for look factor, because you look at a car and you're like, so many things are not normal on this car that they have to slow down and kind of check it out. And some people are pretty cool about it. They'll give you a thumbs up and they'll smile at you as they're passing you. And yet some people just kind of laugh and just kind of just drive passing and they think you just do nothing. And then you get the curious people, the ones that kind of, you're in the left lane on the freeway and you're doing 100, but they're doing 105 or 110 and they're catching you, and then they slow down. And they kind of sit next to you for a while as the driver and passenger talk about the car, and then sometimes they brake completely and then go behind you, and then they sit behind you for a while. It's great. Like I don't think many people do that with a fully decked out four-wheel drive. Because you just see it so often now. It's like a money competition out here. Who's got the most money to buy the most expensive four-wheel drive with the most expensive mods? And then we see some of the crazy ass four-wheel drives in town down where I live, and it hasn't got a freaking scratch on it. And I'm just like,
They've never taken it off road.
this thing is decked out, and I don't think it's seen off road ever.
Spent 30 grand up.
The bash plate is bright red, beautiful, no scratches. Side panels hasn't got a single pinstripe on it. Or what about the four-wheel drives that they've got the set of Max Tracks, and you can tell they've never been used. They've never been taken off to be used.
Yeah. See that with the green ones, the green Max Tracks, the lime green looking ones.
Yeah.
You can really tell that if they got dirt or any scratch on them, and never.
Same response as Subi. Sorry guys, I wasn't watching chat. I'll take it away. Check the angle CVs. You might wear out a lot quicker. Oh yeah, look there. They don't look great, but it's alright. I plan on changing them before I go to Simpson anyway.
Chris does that all himself at home.
Yeah, I've been experimenting a lot with CVs, trying to push them to their limits lately, and seeing how long they'll last. Mainly so I know what to expect when I try and get a bit more height and stuff like that when I'm actually traveling in Simpson. I will be taking a spare set of CVs in case anyone will ask that. I am worried.
I'm sure the Subi gets a lot of those looks.
Subis, yes, they would as well. And I've seen some really, really geared up ones too.
Well, what about when we were coming down Newman's Track on the way back to camp from Mount Terrible, and The guy on the radio was like, "Is anyone going to talk about the fact that that was a Ford Territory?" They saw Keith's Territory and they just couldn't believe it was out there.
This is a short little pause on the radio. Great. Tour tractors equal 4x4s. I've never seen dirt. Yeah, but I mean, there's buying a four-wheel drive, and then there's buying a four-wheel drive and then gearing it up.
And then still not taking it out.
What's the point in running those muddies or those all-terrains if you're not really gonna?
You're just going to drive
I
around.
suppose I can see.
I reckon it's an aesthetic. People go for the look more than the functionality.
Everyone's just waiting for a zombie apocalypse. I'm telling you. Like
Yeah.
Walt said, everyone's just getting ready for the zombie apocalypse and having an all-terrain vehicle. I think he's definitely onto something with that.
I don't know. By the time that happens, everyone will be having electric four-wheel drives on them. I didn't think about that. Zombie apocalypse and electric vehicles, that's not going to work.
No, because well, solar panels will be a big thing you need.
No, they will be.
How would you convert? So I don't know, the amps.
They better hope solar technology gets a hell of a lot better before that happens.
Without getting into the details, but just basic understanding, to charge a Tesla, you'd need a crap load of solar panels to get a good short charge time. Because you need a lot of amps, so a lot of current. And that's not the only problem. You need a controller that can handle said current continuously for hours.
And that wouldn't be cheap.
No, it wouldn't be. So yeah, in a zombie apocalypse, Tesla vehicles may not be ideal, but I mean, you're limited by petrol vehicles as well, as much as petrol you can find, and that's not something you can be able to get easily.
Depends how many cars are ditched on the side of the highway.
WW3 bucket.
Oh, God. Who knows? That might not be far away.
Yeah, I got my new drone. For those that ask me, best response I've had is someone riding a push bike, turning his head to look at the car as I drove past. He rode into some wheelie bins. Holy crap!
I can picture that too. Just bang.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
God.
Tumble bumble of the bins.
Oh, I hope that someone got that on dash cam or something. That'd be great. I'm sure you probably had something like that happen. You just haven't seen it.
Probably.
That's it. You need 360 camera at all times.
Yeah, I'm looking at upgrading our GoPros now to GoPro 9s. We use 8s at the moment. We have 4 of them. But with the GoPro 9s, you can just have them running all the time. And then when something happens, there's got this feature called hindsight, and you just press the record button, and it remembers it saves the last 30 seconds before that point. And I think it's going to be really useful for our channels because we record a lot of raw footage that never gets used. So
Hours and hours.
yeah, hours and hours. And not just on one camera, on multiple cameras. So when I'm off-road, I'm just waiting for something that could possibly happen. Like today, you'll see there's a video where I'm driving along, and we just passed through a set of trees, which I could almost touch both trees, and I drove the adventurous route and only just made it. But we were so overwhelmed about that situation that suddenly my side of the car drops into the ground, and I completely chassis out, and Jordan, who's the passenger, his drink is straight up in the air, everywhere. I look out the window thinking, what the hell? And the whole ground's given way. My front wheels has gone over a hole where all the sand's just dropped down the side of a 10 metre drop.
Yeah, about a 10-metre drop to the water.
And I'm just saying, oh, that's not good. Get out the car, Jordan. But it's stuff like that, where if I wasn't rolling on the camera, I wouldn't have captured driver moment, passenger reaction, exterior footage. And for that reason, we run the GoPros 24/7 to catch the unexpected stuff. But with hindsight, when something that would happen, we just have to remember the first thing we do is press the record button, and that would actually save us a lot of storage. Because storage is a big killer for us at the moment.
Well, I think on that last trip we did, all the GoPros maxed out at about 11 hours of footage on all 4 GoPros. That's 44 hours of footage.
Simpson itself.
There alone.
It's going to be 750 gigs a day. So, I don't know if you guys know storage. Computer storage.
That's
understanding, but 750 gigs a day.
Oh, yeah, 3/4 of a terabyte.
Yeah, that's
a day.
And I need to then copy that to cold storage, essentially. The bells just went. I heard that. And then I've got to then store that for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, depending on how long we're going for. So that's, yeah, I'm looking at ways to reduce the amount of storage that we're going to need for that trip. So that's why I'm looking at the GoPro 9.
Luckily, I had a GoPro Hero 9 for myself, so he's been able to do a bit of testing with it as well. So that's coming a bit in handy. And I didn't realise the 8s didn't have hindsight.
No, it did. It doesn't. I would have used it on there.
Well, that's when you were talking about it. I thought that yours had it, and you weren't using it.
So yeah, I might look at that. It's a bit of a layout. Maybe 3 GoPros could have it, so that's $1,500. I've kind of backed off buying camera gear. We've got everything we need now.
Plenty of it.
There's not much else we really need. But I think hindsight will save us money in the long run with memory cards. So
Memory cards, storage at home.
yeah.
And I'm sure if you went through all the footage, you watched every single minute, you could probably delete a lot of it.
Well, we are getting to a point where I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and delete a lot of history. Yeah, I don't know. I've been umming and ahhing about making a video that shows dates like 2016, 2017, 2018.
Oh,
You can really see progressively how the adventure looked really standard. And as time's gone on, it's kind of like had very slow amounts of damage. But then you get to 2019 and something bloody happens. Like, everything gets modified. In the year 2019, this gets trimmed, wheels change, we get more lift, we get mods to the air set up, battery, power, auxiliary, all sorts of stuff happens. So
I reckon that'd be a good video. How we started, where we are, where we plan to be.
there's no plan.
Well, that is true.
There's no plan. I actually just want to. I'd like a suggest where we can go type program where viewers can suggest ideas where we could go, and then we do our due diligence to try and figure out if it's territory worthy. Adventure worthy. The Territory and Adventure are very different vehicles, but we're both trying to get the same kind of goal.
They're both vehicles you wouldn't normally see off-road.
Yeah. But Keith has done a really good job of getting his Territory the way it is. I just really, he's got the clearance. I just really want to see how it goes in really technical tracks where it's you're always going to have at some point one wheel off the ground, which I really want to test. So.
No, he's done a good job on that.
The early videos are gold. The early videos are interesting. I look at a lot of my early videos and go, that is so stupid, and what the hell was young me thinking?
Younger, yeah.
Younger, yeah.
And some of them you look at and go, we really thought that track was difficult, and now that's just a daily track.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. I'm not sure.
Even in the last year of me coming out, we've used the max tracks and that need to be recovered less and less.
The thing is, there's also a lot of videos I haven't published, like you guys haven't seen, because it's just too dangerous. And I just think that it should never go on a public thing ever. But like we learnt from those videos though, so hard to say. It's hard to say. It's like
I don't know.
maybe Patreon content.
Yeah.
Maybe Patreon content.
That's a good idea.
Thinking of the stuff that's just like far out.
Speaking of Patreon, was the price of a cup of coffee for an entire month.
Oh look,
Get a lot of behind the scenes, early uploads.
what are we? 8 Patreon now. So I think we've got a couple here. Track Life 1, Peter's 1.
I'm on.
Jordan's 1.
Got a new one the other day.
Yeah, Andrew Houdini's 1. Technically Andrew and Lisa are 1. Oh, the mosquito. No, that's not a mosquito. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 of them in here that are part of it. We already seen it go technical tracks bad. We have already seen it go on technical tracks badly. These are almost tips or slides down a hill at Mac Jesus. I thought that slide down, okay, I thought we were in big trouble
When?
when we went down that thing, and I'm like, we'll just see what Hilton said does.
Newbie.
Yeah,
How we didn't break anything is beyond me.
it's weird, because I watched the video, and it looks bad in video, but as a driver, it was very bad. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen.
The video does no justice to how
No,
bad that really
no.
was.
No
This-
way.
How steep it was, how
It's
muddy it
just-
was,
No.
how much we actually had, or Chris had to steer to not drive into a tree. So it wasn't just a
Oh.
straight track. It was slight bends and
We're pretty lucky as well. Like,
lucky.
I don't think we could have killed ourselves there, but I definitely think we could have totaled the car.
Oh, we could have written the car off for
Yeah.
sure.
Definitely could have totaled the car.
Halfway down, I thought that was
Yeah.
going to be the safest option, was to do it on purpose, considering
But-
you were talking about the tree rule
My,
with Wall just beforehand.
yeah, and my thing about that is that I look back at it and I go, well, I remember that, and the first thing I thought about was, like, you got to realize this is a problem that I've developed as like kind of YouTubing, and as soon as everything's good, I'm like, oh my god, we've just survived and probably not damaged the car, and we've done this okay, it's good, we're all good. First thing I'm going, oh, the GoPros, were they running? Like, I don't think about anything else but making sure we got the content.
I'm going through it and I'm trying to make sure we still get
This guy here, he just holds the camera. I look at the camera and I'm like, oh my god. He just holds the camera.
No.
Okay.
If you were the passenger, you would have thrown the GoPro and check.
I was really worried about Will down the bottom. I thought we're going to come around the corner and he was just going to be stopped. And I was just going to go straight into him, but no, he was ages away,
Thankfully.
thankfully. So that little miscommunication at the start, because he actually told us to go a lot earlier, but we
Didn't hear it.
didn't hear it.
We would have got it on the other GoPro though.
Yeah, it was frightening. It was frightening for us. It was frightening for me. I don't know about Jordan. I mean, this guy's still holding the camera. He's not bracing. He's just holding the camera.
No,
And he goes, "Oh, it's fine." So I've had worse with a firearm in my arm. I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
sure."
oh yeah, sketchy stuff in some old army vehicles. But
Probably the best cameraman to have. Like,
my first thought, or my entire thought, was just trying to make sure it was all recorded. So if anything went wrong, I got it on film.
there's a lot of that video I don't think you guys saw too. At the very, very start, before we actually went down, I actually said to Jordan, "This is sketchy." I went up already. Going up, I know what it was like going up. So I said to him, "I don't know about going down. It's
We didn't have a choice. We got to the top of the
What?
track and it was dead end.
yeah, I understand that, but like I'm sitting at the top saying, Jordan, yeah, I don't know about this. I even said to Jordan, you should just jump in the forward drive because he has low range. You can just roll the wheels down at a completely low ratio."
I think that was in the video because I said I'd rather be in the car with you than in a full driver's wheel driving it.
Yeah. I just knew.
Just giving.
I don't know
Will shit for
why
no
I
reason.
thought giving. Like I always try new things. It's like at Big Desert, when we were in the desert at Christmas time. I'd been doing Big Desert flawlessly. We've driven everywhere through Big Desert, and there's not a thing the Adventurer struggled with compared to the four drive. And then I thought, well, how slow can I go up this dune that as you're driving through the sand, it's sucking your tyres down, even at 14 psi. How slow can I go to get to the top? And you pretty much have to go pretty slow to not be able to do it in an Adventurer. That's what I figured out. I'm very surprised about how the Adventurer manages in the sand like that. Like, I would think that all the power would just go out one wheel and then be over.
Well, that's
No,
one
it
thing.
just cruises it.
That's one thing that you've excelled with this channel and with this car is you've been willing to try things that most people wouldn't try, and go screw it. Let's see how this works. What if this goes wrong? How can we learn from this? What can we upgrade? What can we change? What could we have done different? You think about a lot of these things.
I'll tell you what I'm waiting for though. My ego to supersede my capability. So like, if I have bystanders, there's a change in processing of how I'll decide to do a track. So I might approach a track, and then I'll be like, okay, it looks interesting, but I know the Adventurer will do it. There's two ways to do the track. So you can go slow and just walk it and just, you have a risk at maybe not having a slightly enough momentum. And I'm not talking about high speed momentum, just making sure you get the good rolling speed. So when you hit a little bump, it will just push it up a little bit so that your wheels get power in the right places and you roll up, versus you just go with certainty, not at a crazy send it and break it type speed, but just go with certainty
Somewhere in the middle.
somewhere in the middle. And if there's four drivers watching, I always make sure that we get up first go. There isn't a if it's in the adventurous capability, I'm going up. I've figured that out, and you know, because I instantly make sure I don't drive in drive anymore. I switch to first gear, I make sure ESP's off, and I just go up. It's just something I've always done. And it's because I always want to make sure people see the real capability of Adventurer there and then in person, because they're so certain that sometimes it's just not going to do it. But when they see it,
Basically, he's got to show off to some.
essentially,
He's got to show off to them that it can do it instead of just saying it can do it and not actually doing it.
and I've actually gone from kind of being shy after it to going, oh yeah, no, I can have a chat with these guys now and we can have a talk about it. If you know, if we can, if stopping.
Like in that,
Possible,
in that video about about all-terrain action where we did the Chelsea River and we went up that hill and all those guys just couldn't believe it. They're like, no, they wouldn't think their cars would go up there, and no one else would try it.
No. The reason why I said I would do that is because he said there was a 79 that came around, and he was going to do it, and he chickened out. Apparently, he didn't do it.
Yeah, 79 chickened out. 79 chickened out and said it was too hard, not worth.
So I said, no, I'll give it a go. And I actually said that. I said, oh, I probably may not make it up, but I'll give it a go.
No, Adventurer went up first try, just walked up it, didn't even, no run up, nothing, just up she goes.
That was surprising, actually.
Nothing
Oh,
surprises
nice.
me in this car anymore.
No, but I do get surprised every new big trip I go on. That's for sure. That's definitely for sure. But that sun is escaping us.
No,
Slowly.
it's a really nice temperature now.
It is beautiful.
It's not, there's no wind at all. It's perfectly still, but it's not hot, it's not cold, it's just super comfortable.
I feel like a fire now would be actually nice, though, for the bug
Yeah.
displacement reasons.
Yeah, I think we need to look into some maybe citronella candle, like the lantern things, stakes or whatever.
Being places most people do not take their low-range equipped vehicles. Yeah, well, that's a whole nother topic again I could go into about low-range vehicles. The short version is low-range was invented back before we had high-performance engines that could be manufactured for an average person that could afford a car. So to fix a problem where they couldn't create an engine that had more power, they basically made dual-range boxes so they could modify the gear ratios on demand for the purpose of four-wheel driving, so you can climb steep hills and stuff with lesser powered engines. And Volkswagen proved this with the Amarok before 2020 model, I think some of the 2018, 2019, I don't know this for certain, but there was a range where the Amaroks came with a single-range gearbox, and everyone considered them a four-wheel drive. And everyone took them four-wheel drive in all sorts of places, and the Amarok never had a dual-range box, yet it did all these tracks fine. Even I think 4Drive 24/7 did a video with the Amarok in it, in the non-low-range version, and it just did everything the other Toyotas did. And it wasn't an issue, but a lot of people's choice for not buying the Amarok was because it didn't have a dual-range box. So what did VW do? In 2021, they put a bloody dual-range box in it. What for?
Just because it was affecting the sales.
It was, and that's the only reason. So to shorten that, there's a very big history behind it. I did a lot of research into it, but it'll go into a video one day. And that is, low range was created when we didn't have means to access better powered engines. So with all that, it's changed now. I mean, the Adventure is pushing just under 200 kilowatts in the V6 at, I think it's like 350 Newton meters, which is, and I think that's in mid-range torque range. It's not the best, but it's more than enough for your average full driving. Like his territory, his engine lacks power, and his first gear is kind of doesn't really comply well with his second gear. I think it's too tall, I think you were saying. So in the territory with that motor, it would actually suit a dual-range box. However, he then drove like the 6-speed territory at the same track. It's a different world. And 6-speed versus 4-speed, the gear ratios you have access to all change.
So yeah, 6-speed makes it much easier with less modifications.
So yeah, that's my take on low range, like dual range boxes. And probably the reason why I'll never ever worry about trying to I don't even know why I would try and modify it. I've got other plans to try and get more power out of the V6 and that, but there's a lot of more research and testing that need to come into it before that'll happen. And soon we'll have a V8 adventure on the channel, so yes, we're getting a V8 back in the channel, and when that happens, I'll be doing some testing in that vehicle to compete with the V6 to see the actual differences.
Well, you did promise once you hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube that you get a V8 adventure, and we made it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
you made it.
Oh, we made it. We all made it. And that'll be interesting, because I think a few things people have said to me, what am I going to do after this thing kind of blows up? And I'll either do my own V8 build, so I'll look for a V8 that I can rebuild and get all nice as my off-road car. I probably won't rebuild a 6 after my first rebuild, so I'll do one rebuild, and then that'll be it. I'll see where I land, but if I was to do another adventure, it'd be a V8 one. A bit more aesthetically pleasing type look for off-road. I have so many ideas and so many things I would do differently, but I'm not going to go and change what I have now to kind of get there. So
it's something you do starting from scratch. Starting from a fresh canvas.
I have too many memories of this thing. Like one of the guys, Hamish, in the adventure group, he turned around to me the other week and said to me, "You just love that vehicle too much. You just can't."
Oh, you were going to part this vehicle out to another one.
I was. I bought another vehicle, exactly the same colour, an Alex, pretty much exactly the same, only 6 months built, different apart. The body's in perfect condition, not a dent on it at all, and I was going to transplant the suspension, all my mods from this car into that car, and just go to get it registered. I couldn't do it. I actually had everything ready to go. It was sitting there in my garage. I just couldn't do it.
Too many memories.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Like every scratch, I'm like, I found reasons just to not do it. And I'm like, this is never going to happen because I don't want to do it. I've realised that now. So, Kappa supercharger on the V6. Yeah, it's already been talked about. Don't worry. We're just dealing with the unusual dual belt system we have on the Alloy Tex in the all-wheel drive versus the single belt. You'll hit 2,000 subs to afford the V8 fuel. Well, interestingly enough, actually the V8 off-road versus V6 off-road, I don't think there's very much difference.
The V8 doesn't need to rev as hard to do a lot of the hills and the tracks. It just walks up it.
Yeah, I don't think there's very much difference, to be honest with you. We used to own a VY2 one, and
Luke's V8 was sitting at, 1,200 RPM, just crawling up Mount Terrible tracks where this needs to, work a bit harder to get up some of them.
Yeah, I don't think there's much fuel difference. The thing is, so the V8 that's coming to the channel is the VY2, but it's already modified for off-road. People will be well aware of which vehicle it is when they finally see it. But my dream adventure for off-road will be probably like an 05, a VZ, a well looked after interior. I like my interior looking tidy. I don't really care about the outside of the car because once you mod it off-road, but I will paint everything underneath black. Kind of make sure like everything underneath the cuts are black. Probably put like a little roll bar underneath the guards, just so, like there's plenty of ideas I have, and I know that would improve the adventure. But it would still look pretty factory. I really like that look. Looks good. Draws the attention because it doesn't look stupidly modified.
Even if an adventure is stupidly modified, though, it's still an adventure, and people go, "What the hell?"
Exactly, but if it doesn't look like it can do the job, you get the better reaction.
One thing I love about the car, though, is a lot of people don't think it's going to do it, but it allows them to see that they can go do things in their car that they probably didn't think they could. There's a lot of camp spots, a lot of places that people can go in a fairly stock car, and it gets them out and about. It gets them. How many people came to our meetup that had never been forward driving before?
Yeah, well, I understand that. Yeah,
or hadn't been in a long time.
I just wanted to get back out of here. I feel the Venture is the best camping wagon out there. It's not the best full drive kind of hybrid, but I think there's actual full drives that are better suited for that. There's a camping wagon, so one you
Sleep in the back.
sleep in the back, you can put stuff on your roof and get to most places. I think it ticks the boxes for many people. And I don't, fuel economy doesn't even come into it when you're talking off-road, so I don't want to see those figures.
And then you've got people running like 36s and having something like that is priceless.
I worked out, even if I put 33s on my Fortuner, I've only still got 245mm clearance at the rear. This thing is like total clearance is 270 to 280, depending on how high I've got my air.
50mm difference.
If its clearance is the problem, that wins for getting to camping sites and driving through ruts. But yeah, the only difference is literally if you're comparing an Adventurer to an actual four-wheel drive where you're rock climbing and
Massive articulation.
massive articulation. You got one wheel this way, that way. Yeah, I just feel like there's a missing category in cars. Like there's cars, SUVs, so the crossovers, and then we're like in the middle, and then you got four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It's just like a category that's missing.
They have don't they call them a tourer in America? A touring car? Because they can go...
Yeah, you are very loud up there. This is circling.
Well, as long as they're not shooting on us, it's fine.
The best location in Australia are not located near Blacktop roads. Well, that's right. But they are slowly commercialising everything, which is kind of annoying.
A lot of the campsites we looked along the Murray today, a lot of them are all now drop toilets or plum toilets, all barriered off from each other, and photos from a year ago showed that none of that was done a year ago. Same with VHC, a lot of the ones that you go to like O'Toole's and stuff like that, that's all...
Yeah, O'Toole's is big. A couple of campsites where I like going to, which are technically away from civilization and blacktop roads, they're actually being commercialised, so we're going to lose them soon.
Yeah. Two-wheel drives will be able to go to O'Toole's in the near future. Potentially.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'll have a problem waking up in the morning. Anyway, guys, I'm going to try this again. So if there's anything else you guys want to ask, we'll probably head off in a few minutes. If not, I can see that the sun is slowly leaving us. We've actually been talking for a while now because I don't know if you can really see us. Oh, you can. That's actually still not bad.
Yeah, you get a bit of a sunset. It's a little bit red over there. It's nice.
We're going to cook ourselves up some food and then...
Get a jet boil going with some instant noodles, chuck some stir-fry beef in there.
Well done getting out there and thanks for sharing. No worries, man. Thank you for watching. The birds are trying to take over the stream. Why do I feel like one of them's just going to...
Don't shoot on my swag. But yeah, well, we said we're going to go about 45 minutes ago.
Was it?
Something like that.
No, well, the conversation's good. The conversation's good.
Oh, that's it. Oh, it's been good. Been able to have a really good chat.
It's really nice temperature right now. Like
It's beautiful.
This is exactly the temperature that I like. If there's no wind.
Yeah.
Been fun. No worries. Thanks, Track Life. Well, I'll catch you guys later.
Cheers for sticking around. Track Life.
There will be a video out this week, not Wednesday. They'll be later in the week. So, got a couple of work commitments on this week, so we'll get them out later this week. Till then, I have no way to stop the stream from here.
Nope.
I'll have to get up and do it.
No, we just both walk off.
See you guys. See you guys. I actually don't know how to turn it off.